didn't know that the Biden administration paid Politico, a so-called journalistic outfit, $8 million to cover up for Biden. That's what they did. They wouldn't run the Hunter Biden.
We don't know that that's what it was. We don't know that that's what they did. That's not the story. The story is the subscriptions, and a lot of Republicans were among their subscribers.
No. Their own employees of Politico said the report is on the story. They would not run it. So just go do your research and you'll see. But what really caught my attention was the New York Times today. Okay, then you know the reporter on the story for Politico said they wouldn't print the story. We didn't know at the time
but the reason
that Politico was getting $8 million from Biden.
Yeah,
the reason
but we
why
don't know that that's why they didn't run the story. People don't run stories.
Okay. No, I run if I have a reporter, they bring a story, I run it. Okay, New York Times today, conspiracy about Politico. Then I knew the story was valid. As soon as you get the New York Times running interference for you, you know it's true. Okay?
I know what you guys are thinking. Kenny, again with the USAID? Guys, the more digging I do, the more stuff you just find out, bro. This is a treasure trove of a story. I honestly believe this is the biggest scandal in our news history, right? And as you saw from the intro, Chris Cuomo scrambles to hide the truth about Politico. Chris Cuomo scrambles to deny that Politico took $8.2 million in taxpayer money to cover for Biden. This is the accusation that conservatives are making about Politico, right? One of the reasons is fueling this speculation, because remember, every time these liberal Democrat types, these more common sense Democrats keep telling us, oh, you conspiracy theory, oh, you think that gain of function research was funded by taxpayer money? Found out, yeah, that was likely to be the case. We're saying this is pro quo. Hey, you got paid millions of dollars from taxpayer money to cover up the Biden laptop story. You brag about shadow campaigns. You put out, Politico was the first to put out a story disclaiming that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian misinformation. They put out the story for, officially, 51 FBI official says that the Hunter Biden laptop story is not true. Russian misinformation, information campaign attack. Politico was the first one to do all that stuff. And at the time, we wasn't aware that there could be some economic interest, some monetary interest on political side to defend the Biden administration. And now that information has come out. And now you got people in the mainstream media, right? This is what I'm talking about. WikiLeaks. USAID has been funding over 6,000 journalists worldwide, across nearly 1,000 platforms, including 9 out of 10 media outlets in Ukraine. Right? Kenny, you're going somewhere with this, aren't you? Yes, I am. Yesterday reports that the U.S. government has been funding outlets such as Politico, the Associated Press, the BBC, and others raise more questions than it answered. Though the obvious implications is that the U.S. government has effectively been propping up regime-friendly media, which then peddles regime-friendly coverage and spend years attacking independent outlets such as Zero Huds, The Federalist, and many unlucky ones who has been shivved out of the business. While funding for Politico and others have come from all over the federal government, WikiLeaks, right? This stuff has been coming from all over the WikiLeaks stuff. Let me give you an article. But before then, Chris Cuomo isn't the only news anchor kind of guy that's scrambling to hide this uncomfortable truth. Because one of the things that I'm always critical of news outlets is that they always try to craft a narrative. They always try to get you to doubt something that seems to be the most likely to be the answer, right? The simplest answer is the clearest answer. Simple answer is Politico made government employees paid overpriced subscription fees as a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to give them favorable coverage. And you're going to see in this clip, this guy's name is Robby I forgot his name. He works for The Hill. And I want you to hear his take on the USAID, and he thinks that this could be misleading. Let's take a look.
Some of the critics of USAID have seized on a misleading claim, namely that the organization was funneling millions of dollars to Politico. In reality, it appears that government workers were paying for subscriptions to Politico's premium product. Now, that may or may not be a worthwhile use of government funds. More on that in a moment. But at any rate, it does not represent some kind of direct subsidy to the news outlet. Now, many conservative social media personalities seem to feel differently. On Wednesday, right-wing pundit Benny Johnson, among others, circulated the rumor on X that Politico had received $8 million from USAID. Johnson clearly thought this was a big story. He appended the caption, "Biggest scandal in news media history," with no further qualification. Johnson also speculated that without such funding, Politico would go out of business. Adding fuel to the fire was an apparently unrelated mishap concerning Politico's payment processing services. Due to a technical error, employees of the news website were not paid for the most recent pay period.
So you got a little sense of his take here, all right? And he's trying to, say, hey, nothing, no, not so fast. They didn't get any grants. They didn't get federal anything. Like, they didn't get paid directly by the U.S. government. It was the U.S. government employees that was paying these exorbitant subscription fees, right? And though he tried to focus only exclusively on USAID, on my earlier videos, I point out how even though Politico tries to plead themselves innocent, there's other news organizations, there's other government agencies that were paying them. What do you do? It appears to be funneling large sums of taxpayer money to Politico so that some bureaucrat can read left-wing journalists complain about Republicans. They spent, what, $600,000 and $200,000 on subscription fees? 37 users paying the subscription fee that comes about $622,000. Another $862,000. Is this not money laundering? Is this not pro quo? Huh? I found another $27 million during the Biden years. I showed you this tweet, how different departments are paying total compensation, a total amount of tax, $27 million to Politico through different federal organizations. This is not odd. This is not strange. For 37 users, Politico Pro subscription for 37 users will cost you $500,000. What? The Hill, right? And let's go back to The Hill, because this is the type of stuff that I tell you guys to watch out for. It's starting to make me think, is The Hill getting money from USAID? Is The Hill getting money, government money, in some indirect way? This is so funny. This argument this guy's making is saying that, Hunter Biden didn't get any money. He got paid for making paintings. And you see Hunter Biden's painting, it's a banana on a stick. And he's like, yeah, look, this is art. And someone paid $1 million for a banana on a stick, calling it art. Okay. That's the same level of obfuscation this guy's trying to do. Let's look at the comment section. Please explain how, according to BBC, 8% of their yearly revenue comes from the U.S. government sources, including agencies like USAID. Oh, yeah? $2,500 subscriptions are normal? Hunter's paintings are worth millions. Nothing to see here. This segment makes me think The Hill is going to be one of those funding on these funding lists. Could be. Sound like The Hill must have a premium product the government buys, but that we need to hear about. $8 million for subscriptions. Robby pretending he doesn't understand how money laundering works. Exactly. That's why that's why pay through USAID. Why not pay through the legitimate source? Does The Hill receive any funding from the USAID? It questions we have to ask every journalist institution moving forward. Exactly. USAID has been funding over 6,000 journalists worldwide across nearly 1,000 platforms. Let's continue with this conversation. And after this, you get, this is the questions that they don't answer legitimately. This guy, he's not acknowledging what is the claim behind it. They just say, oh, they write it off. Oh, they're not getting paid directly. They take you literally. You're not getting paid directly by the U.S. government. Your taxpayer money is not being funded. Who pays the salaries of these government employees? How can a government employee afford a $2,500 subscription? What service is Politico providing? He tries to explain it, but it doesn't compute. If I pay $1 million for a banana on a stick, but the person selling that banana on a stick is politically connected, you will not have any thoughts, Robby? This is idiotic, Robby. Politico is not some blind machine providing straight information on legislation. They have a political bent, and you gave a very good example of it. This is outrageous. If Politico just wanted to give the nuts and bolts to people in D.C., they can do that, but they didn't. Oh, so millions of our tax dollars were only being spent on subscriptions to publications that lie and propagandize us. Thanks, Robby. I felt much better now. This is how the American people are reacting. And the fact that Chris Cuomo is out here trying to defend Politico, maybe his former co-workers, I don't know what it is. You can take Chris Cuomo out of CNN, but you can't take CNN out of Chris Cuomo. So I'm going to give my live commentary and reaction to this discussion between him and Bill O'Reilly about Politico scandal. And this is funny. All these news anchors, they're really trying to protect their credibility because they know how damning this story is. They know. Would you pay $2,500 a month on subscription fees? How many of these users are connected to the government that's paying these highest fees? I would ask Robby that question. Oh, if you just think it's just normal business practices, how many of these users are affiliated with the government? All of them? 90% of them are affiliated with the government? That don't scratch any, that doesn't ring alarm bells, no red flags there? And this is the problem I have with the mainstream media. They don't acknowledge they don't steelman your argument. They don't acknowledge the most probable, the most strongest case for why people are skeptical about the government money being affiliated with these journalists. That's why Donald Trump did what he did. He said, let's cut all media contracts. I don't want the government money being entangled in anything because it gives an appearance of bias. But you don't want to acknowledge that. You just want to play defense. I don't know why. Now you got your own viewers, your own audience questioning The Hill. Is The Hill somewhat affiliated with getting government money in some shape or form? Now you have to ask your question, what media company don't have any money coming from the taxpayer wallet funneling into their system, into their business? But I digress. Let's see how Chris Cuomo tries to evade this inconvenient truth about why the perception of news media has gone down in recent years. Let's take a look.
And then I didn't know that the Biden administration paid Politico, a so-called journalistic outfit, $8 million to cover up for Biden. That's what they did. They wouldn't run the Hunter Biden.
We don't know that that's what it was. We don't know that that's what they did. That's not the story. The story is the subscriptions, and a lot of Republicans were among their subscribers.
No. Their own employees of Politico.
And the fact that they think this is an argument, right? It's the same thing with, like, look at the actions they took during the past, during when Biden was running, the shadow campaign, how New York Times, Politico, Axios, all these news corporations unilaterally, almost in sync, all of them discredited the Hunter Biden laptop story. All of them didn't want to get any credit to it. None of them wanted to acknowledge it. CBS didn't want to acknowledge it. Remember the discussion? This is one of the reasons why Trump didn't do the 60-minute interview during the 2024 election campaign. Because of the fact that they did not want to apologize for the fact that when Trump tried to bring it up during his 2020 60-minute interview, the interviewer tried to discredit him, try to say, this is not true, this is Russian information, we don't know if this is factual, you can't say this on national TV. Donald Trump merely made a claim, and he was vindicated not even a couple years, 2 years or a year later. He was vindicated that that story was true. And the media immediately tried to discredit it off the face. They didn't even attempt to try to acknowledge the premise, acknowledge the claims surrounding the story. And y'all doing the same tactic right here, right now. The Hill, Chris Cuomo of News Nation. This is a bad look. Bad look.
Said the report is on the story. They would not run it. So just go do your research and you'll see. But what really caught my attention was the New York Times today. Okay, then you know the reporter on the story for Politico said they wouldn't print the story. We didn't know at the time
but the reason
that Politico was getting $8 million from Biden.
Yeah, but we don't know that that's why they didn't run the story. People don't run stories.
Okay. No, I run if I have a reporter, they bring the story, I run it. Okay, New York Times today, conspiracy about Politico. Then I knew the story was valid. As soon as you get the New York Times running interference for you, you know it's true. Okay? Okay, so Elon Musk, let's get back to Elon Musk. I met him one time.
And the funny part is New York Times was also quoted to getting money from USAID as well. USAID had money in everything. The Associated Press, New York Times got $3.1 million. New York Times, I believe. It's a hit list, and y'all got to make it like this is the left. The fact that they're outraging so much over this, the USAID stuff, the fact that they can no longer use money laundering tactics to try to brainwash us into believing their narratives. This is the part of bureaucracy. This is what I'm talking about with the Democratic Party. The Democrats don't operate in the view of the American people. Everyone should be in favor of transparent, efficient government. Seems obvious, except to Democrats who have conflicts of interest. Every news host out here in these corporate news press, they have a conflict of interest in its face. You have to prove how you are not getting any money from the government at this point. I'll leave you off here with this one from Ron Paul. A look behind the curtain has revealed a horrific truth. Nearly the entire mainstream media worldwide has been funded by the U.S. government under the USAID and other departments of government, such as the FDA, right? Politico is the biggest example, from BBC to the New York Times and Politico. At this point, it might be easier to find out who USAID has not funded in the media sphere. And the fact that you got a guy from The Hill, right? Which is supposed to be this like center, one of these center news nations kind of thing, trying to defend this stuff. Oh, it's just subscriptions. Would you pay a subscription for $2,500 a month for news? That don't justify that much money. $10, $15, okay. But $2,500 for their premium? What you getting for that? What are you getting for that? And this is the justification? And no one's falling for this crap. Let's hear it. I'll give it 2 minutes.
Now, wrote Becker. Fortunately, these theories are based on a little bit of a misunderstanding of how Politico's business model works. First, the $8 million figure represents total government expenditures to Politico since 2016, not USAID dollars specifically. The amount paid by USAID to Politico totals $44,000. A government agency directly transferring cash to a journalistic outlet that's supposed to cover it impartially might still constitute a scandal. In general, the feds should not subsidize journalistic projects. But importantly,
this is a deflection. This is you just redirecting attention. You're saying, oh, look at this specific case that kind of matches this narrative that I want to put out, but you don't acknowledge what people are actually basing their claim on. People are saying, hey, you got 37 users who are paying subscription fees for this pro-prescription political stuff, and they're paying $400,000, $800,000 in some cases across various government departments funding this corporation. For what purpose? Like, everyone's wondering, for what reason would you do it? Unless it's merely a pretext to deliver the money. Oh, I was paying for a political subscription. Everybody in America who's seen this story knows this is nothing more than plausible deniability. That's it. That's all it is. The subscription thing is just plausible deniability. Would you pay $10,000 a year per user to fund a news organization's newsletter where you're getting nothing different? Like, some of the stuff, the same service that's being offered by Politico Pro, Daily Wire offers $30, $23 a month, and you get documentaries, you get all the. They're not offering that service. Oh, it's an AI tool we're paying for. That's free AI tools. What makes Politico's AI tool so special? And when you break it down, you start noticing, this is just a pretext to give this amount of money under the guise of subscriptions. This is money laundering. It's obvious. This is just a way, so if you get caught, you could play plausible deniability that, it was for subscription, it was for a service. It wasn't to pay us off and to give friendly coverage to the Democratic Party. When a lot of these government institutions, government departments are overwhelmingly dominated by leftists. If you look at who these government entities, these people who work in these federal agencies, who they donate to and who they vote for, it's overwhelmingly Democrat. Democrats have captured a lot of these institutions. So an institution that's heavily captured by leftists, and this institution heavily captured by leftists is paying subscription fees way over the typical pricing for these services and products. You don't think there's something suspicious there? Mainstream media, stop pretending that American people are stupid. Corruption being exposed in real time. And the left is mad about it? The left attempts to defend this? What? Crazy. The narratives are crumbling. The narratives are falling. Because the left cried fascism one too many times. The left cried Nazi, racist, liar one too many times. Then you find out that they're the liars. They're the racists supporting DEI and all this stuff. They're the frauds. They're the ones more prone for corruption. They claim, the Republican Party are owned by the NRA because they receive money from the NRA. Then you play the same game. You hold Democrats and liberals to the same standards they hold Republicans to, and you find out they're worse. They're even worse. When I come on my channel and say that journalism is the most left-wing profession in America, since 2018, it's considered the most liberal profession in America, journalism. And then you find out 6,000 journalists, according to WikiLeaks, were getting paid money across 1,000 platforms. You don't think people are going to have questions if a journalist come out and tries to defend them? Tries to defend this? Tries to cast doubt on this story? Ha! You must think Americans were born yesterday. But hey, keep it up. Keep it up. Because the more y'all try to hide, don't look. The more people, you ever tell someone not to do something and it makes them feel, you encourage them to do it even more? I forgot what they call it. It's an effect. The Johnny Cougar effect. I forgot what it's called. You tell people not to look at something, they look at it. Don't think about a red elephant, you just thought about a red elephant. This is effectively what the media is doing right now. This is effectively what The Hill just did right now. It's effectively what Chris Cuomo just did right now. But I digress. Enough of my rambling. I'm done. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear your perspective on this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.